So Joe Biden has been in the race for a little bit now, and some of the polls have come back having him above Bernie Sanders. Now, there are some polls that are, put him at a modest, about 6 points, some even to the double digits. Now, there's one which is completely misleading, a CNN SSRS poll, which basically massively underrepresented people under 50. So that's how you ended up getting like a 24-point lead or something on Senator Sanders. Not true. But other reputable polls have him still ahead by at least single digits. So it is fairly early. Now the question is, why is he polling above Bernie Sanders? It's very curious, right? It is a very crowded field. There's a lot of people who could take the centrist mantle, a lot like Biden. So what does Biden bring to the table in a field that is increasingly progressive? Turns out, not a whole lot, at least nothing substantive, according to his supporters and fans. Now, the Daily Beast reached out to self-described Biden supporters. This is the people in the middle of the country, in the Midwest, in the Rust Belt, where I guess they're saying that he's got a better chance against Donald Trump than somebody like Bernie Sanders, which I think is pretty crazy, but they're really counting on his blue-collar appeal, Biden's. So now, they profiled a couple of people in this piece, and I want to read some of that. One of them was an older woman named Christine Norton. Now, Norton apparently has, quote, had it with young people. Oh, that's a great start. Especially those, she says, cannot forgive Biden for bills that he supported in the 80s and 90s that increased the prison population. I tell them, quote, people change. And of course, this is people that she argues with when it comes to the 1994, for example, crime bill, right? So now, yes, people do change. People do become progressive over time. I understand that. And being a progressive is all about change, right? It's about embracing change. It's about embracing new things, right? So, okay, look, that's a okay argument if you can prove that he has really changed his policy positions and is actually really regretful for what he's done. On the crime bill, not so much. Biden is and continues to be tough on crime. In fact, he is still not in favor of legalizing cannabis, marijuana. So that would appear that he would continue to be the same as what he was before. But now, as far as some of this, like I said, legislation, it was pretty bad. And he continues to appear to believe in a lot of the things that he did before. He's had a pretty bad track record, especially on things like race. Nonetheless, one more point about that, right? So now, these are the same people, by the way, I think, that, while defending Biden and saying, oh, don't worry, people change, will then go after Bernie Sanders for writing a rape essay. Wait a minute. Wait, what? Okay, anyway, that's the point that I wanted to make. More. Quote, we have to stand united. The young people have to understand that now might not be the time for big changes. We can't have the Green New Deal. We have to keep our eyes on the orange monstrosity. You understand that? Hey, young people, settle down. We can't have nice things. No, we have to be incremental. We can only go for incremental, very small changes. Don't you young people understand? We can't ever change anything because we have Donald Trump in office. We got to take care of Donald Trump. Got to get rid of him, and then maybe we'll have small incrementalist changes. That is a pile of nonsense. For one, she doesn't understand that Donald Trump is a symptom. He is not the disease. He is a symptom of the disease. Decades of neoliberal economic policy, anti-worker, crushing unions, pro-business, pro-corporation, consolidation of wealth, power, and privilege. Those created Donald Trump. Nothing else. But again, this is a result, this thinking, of mainstream media basically painting Trump as an aberration, as something uniquely bad, when in reality, he's as bad as anyone else on the Republican side. He's just more honest about it. And it's about the only thing that Donald Trump is honest about is how terrible he really is. And he does that, of course, just by being himself. But here's the thing, right? This is exactly what Biden's strategy is. He is running on this. He's running on, I'm not as bad as Trump. And now, where have we seen this movie before? I mean, if you're going to run your entire campaign on, I'm not Trump, Trump bad, I'm better than Trump, well, then look, we've seen this movie before. And it always ends up in a bad place. For one, the first time they did it, we ended up with Trump. The next time that they do this, maybe afterwards, maybe if Trump, wins a second term, which is be terrible on itself. But if we continue this cycle and run somebody in 2024 that does the same exact thing, then what you're doing is you're setting up somebody who will be worse than Trump. Imagine a more competent Trump-like candidate. Imagine the damage that they could do. And already, the Trump administration has seen a lot of damage that's going to take generations to recover from. And look at all the district courts. Look at the Supreme Court. We are screwed for generations, thanks to Donald Trump. And of course, thanks to the idea that, oh no, we can't have any change. We need to focus on getting rid of or preventing the orange monster. But I have more quotes here. At the home of Teamsters local Union 249, Biden had railed against the decline of the middle class, pledged to fight for $15, which actually we should be fighting for $33. New report just came out, by the way. Or it came out sometime earlier this week, where if wages had kept track with CEO bonuses, the minimum wage would be $33 an hour. Now, he said, Biden did, healthcare is a right, and even borrowed Senator Bernie Sanders' key phrase of millionaires and billionaires as the sole beneficiaries of new economic growth. Now, funny is that his rhetoric, of course, is he's got to borrow more progressive things. But in reality, again, he doesn't favor Medicare for all. And he had once said, I'm not going to blame the 500 billionaires and millionaires and billionaires as, part of our problem. The problem isn't them. Well, now he's talking about, millionaires and billionaires. Here we go. Now, the audience, they point out, is mostly baby boomers, many of whom were ready to declare him as their choice, his first week as an official candidate. They were more taken by his character and background than any policy proposals or issues, and they are convinced that he can and must beat Donald Trump. Right there. They don't care about policy. They're more taken by his character than any policy positions. That is not important to him or to them. It's his character. It's Biden's character. Oh, he's such a nice guy. He's lovable Joe. I mean, I like Joe. But see, here's the thing. Joe Biden is much of a possibly likable guy. He is. And actually, I'll be honest, I don't like him. You know why? Because, again, he took the opportunity, instead of addressing millennial concerns about, for example, student loan debt, right? He says he has no empathy for young people. No empathy for the stuff that we're going through. I mean, no. No amount of awesome Biden-Obama memes is going to make up for that, for crapping on an entire generation. But he's not in favor of Medicare for all, not in favor of free college, not in favor of the Green New Deal, legal cannabis, and of course, he basically helped sign a bill that prevented financially struggling students from declaring bankruptcy to eliminate their student loans. They can't even discharge student loans. But as you can see, or as you will see, the policy doesn't matter to people as much as civility. In fact, let me give you an example here. This is Richard Dukin, a 64-year-old retiree. He said that he was, quote, sickened by the possibility of another Trump term and said, well, I like some of the progressive ideas of the other candidates, about the environment, about minimum wage, but is moved towards Biden because of the, quote, warmth and sense of knowledge he exudes. Wow. Quote, I think he's someone everyone agrees has experience and integrity. He's human and inclusive. He presents the best part of the Democratic Party and the country. But wait, what about the policy? I mean, if he's wrong on policy, which he is, then who cares how nice he is? I don't want somebody that I can have a beer with as president. I know, right? Crazy. No, I want somebody who's going to do the best policy for me and my family and my fellow Americans. That's what we should all want. But unfortunately, this is what people apparently do want, and it frustrates me to no end. I mean, look, all these people basically want the status quo, but with a nice smiley face on it. Now, for Biden's supporters, according to the Beast, the big bad America, or the big bag of America, is not corporate class of the wealthy. It is Donald J. Trump. Nicole Howell, 45-year-old, who lives on Medicaid and disability Social Security because of MS, said, quote, "I want Trump out of office, and I think Biden can do it. She says she fears cuts to social services. Quote, I'm still shopping for candidates, but I think Biden has the best words right now." But that's all he has. All he has are words. And here's the thing. I wonder if she will think that way, if she will stop shopping for candidates, or at least stop considering Biden, if I showed you that he agrees with Paul Ryan on cuts to Medicare and Social Security. I have some video of him saying just that. Watch.
Even our Republican friends are now beginning to admit there's no evidence these tax cuts are being put to work in the economy. No new growth, just more debt. And that puts middle-class programs that they rely on and they've worked for at real risk. Paul Ryan was correct. When he did the tax code, what's the first thing he decided we had to go after? Social Security and Medicare. Now, we need to do something about Social Security and Medicare. That's the only way you can find room to pay for it. Now, I don't know a whole lot of people in the top 0.1% or the top 1% are relying on Social Security when they retire. I don't know a lot of them. Maybe you guys do. So we need a pro-growth progressive tax code that treats workers as job creators as well, not just investors, that gets rid of unprotected loopholes like stepped-up basis. And it raises enough revenue to make sure that the Social Security and Medicare can stay, still needs adjustments, but can stay.
All right, so Joe Biden, we need to raise taxes, or else, we need to have a progressive tax system so you can pay for Social Security and Medicare. The problem is that Social Security and Medicare, I mean, look, he's talking about the debt, right? We got to do something about Social Security and Medicare because of the debt. That's not the problem. Social Security and Medicare doesn't add a penny to the deficit or to the debt, right? They are self-funded through payroll taxes. Now, there are ways that you can fix this by, of course, raising the payroll tax, or I should say lifting the cap on that payroll tax. In fact, according to the AARP, if the cap were eliminated and all earnings above the cap were taxed at the same 6.2% currently paid for by working class earners, Social Security would be fully funded for nearly the full remainder of the 21st century. Nonetheless, Biden has a history of talking about how he wants to make cuts to Social Security, make cuts to Medicare, and is more than happy of working with Republicans to make that happen. In fact, this was Biden back in 2007. Take a look.
Would you consider looking at those programs, age of eligibility,
Absolutely.
cost of living, put it all on the table?
The answer is absolutely. You have to. I mean, it's one of the things that my, the political advisors say to me is, "Whoa, don't touch that third." Look, the American people aren't stupid. It's a real simple proposition. We have to do. You and I were talking about Bob Dole earlier. I was one of 5 people. I was the junior guy in the meeting with Bob Dole, George Mitchell, when we put Social Security in the right path for 60 years. I'll never forget what Bob Dole said. After we reached an agreement about gradually raising the retirement age, et cetera, he said, look, here's the deal. We all put our foot in the boat one at a time. And he kidded me. He stepped like he was stepping into a boat. And we all make the following deal. If any one of the challengers running against incumbent Democrat or Republicans attacks us on this point, we'll all stay together. That's the kind of leadership that is needed. Social Security is not the hard one to solve. Medicare, that is the gorilla in the room. And you've got to put all of it on the table.
Everything.
Everything. You've got to.
You got to put everything on the table. Cutting Medicare, cutting Social Security. That's what that is. Raising the retirement age to 70 is a cut. That means you get less money. And so if it's all on the table, if you're worried about somebody going after Social Security and Medicare, if you're somebody like that lady that I had mentioned, right, that cared so much about this was Nicole Howell. Well, Nicole, he wants to cut your Social Security. He wants to make it so that Social Security and Medicare pay out less. He agrees with Paul Ryan. So that's not a good position. And look, she's not the only one, like I said. You also have other people that are favoring Biden without actually knowing what he stands for. Now, Biden is not in favor of targeting wealthier people who pay into the payroll tax and making sure that more people pay that. Again, once you hit that $100,000 dollar cap, it doesn't take long for you to cap out on that payroll tax, and so you don't pay that for the end of the year or for the rest of the year. We could make Social Security continue to pay out 100% of benefits if we do that, if we make that small change. Unfortunately, he's not in favor of doing that. And again, there's more. The two voters, Andrea Sapalow and Chris Voss, told the Daily Beast that trust in Biden as an individual is more important than specific policy issues. One of them said, quote, "He will bring decency back to the office of president. He seems trustworthy. He was in the Senate for 30 years, added the other. He knows how to get things done and worked across the aisle." Now, nobody they've talked to was under the age of 45, by the way. Just putting that out there. But look, here's the thing. To them, it's all about civility. Civility, civility, civility. Nothing matters to them except for the guy in the White House is more civil. That's it. That's it. That's the worst part of the Trump era to them. Is that, Trump, he's so mean, he's so nasty. He says gross things, and he's mean to people on Twitter. Yeah, but here's the thing. What's more important than just that is what he's actually doing to the country. Cutting taxes on the rich, corporations, killing alternative energy, trying to prop up coal, continuing all the Bush-Obama conflicts in the Middle East, backing regime change coups in Venezuela. Not only that, but also voting and supporting to increase the defense budget by billions of dollars. That's the stuff that Trump was doing. And that's the stuff, unfortunately, that Biden, some of it, he agrees with. These are way bigger problems than being just a meanie. Now, those same two people that I referenced also are fond of Beto and Mayor Pete. Those are two candidates that, again, are flashy but have no substance. They have no policy positions. And they also said that they'd vote for them, but they wanted a more experienced campaigner. Again, all about civility, right? Again, the problem here is Biden is running the Hillary Clinton playbook. Now, look, I pointed out that he's borrowing some rhetoric from Bernie Sanders. But when held up to scrutiny in his past statements, you see through it. And unfortunately, too many people remember Biden with rose-colored glasses from the Obama years and don't look at his record. When he sided with credit card companies, when he mistreated Anita Hill, when he said we need to cut Social Security and Medicare. They think that, oh no, if we have Biden, then we can work with Mitch McConnell and get things done. Well, now wait a minute. Mitch McConnell calls himself the Grim Reaper when it comes to passing legislation. He says anything that comes from, doesn't matter what it is. If it comes from a Democrat, He's going to kill it. He's the Grim Reaper. We have to get rid of him. And finally, he could lose to Donald Trump. Now, why do I say that? I mean, Donald Trump is in a uniquely weak position. He is deeply, deeply unpopular. Well, the reason that I say he could lose is because he's running on the Hillary Clinton playbook. We saw that movie. We know how it ends. There's a lot of people, especially millennials, young people, that are not willing to vote for him. And millennials right now are the largest voting bloc. And so he doesn't inspire people. He basically appeals to the 2008 centrist liberal who thinks everything is fine or everything would be fine if it wasn't for that dastardly Trump in office. We need somebody who's going to challenge the status quo. We don't need another Biden. We don't need another Obama. We need somebody who's going to introduce real change. It is not enough to get rid of Donald Trump. We have to end the conditions that created Donald Trump in the first place. And I'm sorry, but the tranquilizing drug of gradualism is not going to do that. It's going to lead to something worse. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.